Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the I Review Your Pokemon series. And this episode is kind of the return of the series. It's a mini reboot. It hasn't been going for a while, but I finally wanted to get back around to it. Now, in this episode, we are going over this Raichu sent in by Mint. Now, if you look at this and you know how this game works, you'll look at this Raichu and just be like, the Raptor, why are you reviewing this? It's obviously just good. And one of the biggest things with this series is I don't want to just review Pokemon that are just outright good and just say, yep, it's good, because that doesn't really leave much room for discussion. And the point of the series is to discuss dilemmas and interesting things that are coming about from the Pokemon that you guys are sending, and interesting dilemmas and answering your questions. But this Raichu has a very interesting question. Little Pancakes here. It looks like a female Raichu. She is has a very interesting question. Firstly, it was sent in by Mint, and Mint has only been playing for about 4 months, so that's why the Raichu here is level 31 only. I'm going to tell you this now, before I even get into this, Mint. This is one of the best catches you could possibly get. This is an amazing Raichu, hands down, no questions asked, full invest. Amazing stats. But the question that you have is a bit more interesting. Now, you are Premium Pass, so you do have access to Sub-Skill and Main Skill Seeds. Now, this is only level 2, so I guess you caught this probably as a Pikachu. Because you definitely did not catch it as a Pichu. And I'm guessing if you caught it as a Raichu, you probably wouldn't have put in a main skill seed. But your question, you said, is less to do with rating this Mon, and more to do with an idea or strategy. I want to try out pull off, and I wanted your thoughts. Also, it would be nice to know if you think it'd be a good idea to max sub skill. I assume you mean main skill. This Raichu, even with the skill chance down. That's one very interesting thing that I want to discuss first. So, ever since I heard about the Legendary Beast came out, I want to prep as much as possible to build a team around either Raikou or Suicune. Furthermore, when I first started playing, I wanted one super badly because I think themed teams are a really cool concept. So when I realized that Raichu went super well with Raikou, and that Raikou is still decently meta because of how well it handles OGPP. So my question is, do you think I should spend this week, currently at Cyan, and Triple Type Week trying to create a great team around my Raikou? My idea was either to go for a complete Electric Berry team, so Raikou, Raichu, Pikachu, Ampharos with BFS, and Pawmot, or going a more balanced team that removes Pikachu or Ampharos for an ingredient power pair, like you discussed in your video. Just want to know your thoughts on the matter, and if it was a worthy endeavor, because that will definitely fundamentally change how I play these next 2 weeks of Pokemon Sleep. So, a lot of interesting things to ask here, Mint, and a lot of interesting discussion to be had about the concept of power pairs and type teams. Now, I'd say where you're at, my biggest advice is see what you catch during, and it's difficult because you don't know what you're going to catch, but when it comes to legendary events, given that you've been playing for about 4 months, that would have put you at playing, I believe, just after Cresselia vs. Darkrai. I don't know if he would have been around during Cresselia vs. Darkrai. I don't remember exactly how long ago that was. But either way, when it goes with legendary events, typically speaking, I'd say legendaries are kind of pseudo-event locked. They're not, but they're so ridiculously rare that catching a good one is nearly impossible outside of their events. And also, because they're so difficult to catch even within their events, you kind of just get what you get and you don't throw a fit. If you catch a good Suicune, build a team around Suicune. If you catch a good Raikou, you can build the team around Raikou. But without having that missing piece of the puzzle, without having that Raikou, if you don't catch a good one, it's going to be tremendously disappointing if you invest a full team around Raikou, and then you don't get the good Raikou. There's no promise of getting a good Raikou. The starter one can be usable, because you do get the first one that they give you. I think that it is a usable stat spread, if you can get it to level 100, which isn't even around at this point. So, realistically, you're going to be working with something that's suboptimal, if that's the best one that you catch, until you get to level 100, where it becomes, I'd say, usable. And at that point, it's not really about investing in something that's great or optimal. That's more about investing Raikou because you like Raikou and want to use a Raikou, that you'll make it work. And you can make it work if you really, really want to. And that'd be my general advice as far as building and prepping for a legendary team. So, which would I rather go about for you where you're at? Is more, I'd say, go for what's generally useful. And a power pair or getting your ingredient specialists in line so that you have ingredient coverage is going to be pretty generally useful. And it doesn't depend so much on that linchpin of the Raikou. Getting a good Raikou during the Legendary Beast rerun event. But other things aside, I wanted to discuss, if you do land a good Raikou, which one is the better route to go. Even not knowing what you are to catch in the future, let's say you catch the good Raikou and an investable Raikou, which one is the better route to go between these two options? The power pair more like simplicity, or going for a full electric team and just fully investing in that, which is a cool concept. Now, like I said, this Raichu definitely will be with you. Invest this thing fully as far as levels go, and then don't bother with it, but then don't worry about past that point. But I also wanted to discuss, you did make a little side mention of should you main skill seed this, and I will say this, I main skill seeded my Raichu, which has very similar stats. Mine's not named Pancakes, mine is named Gigachu. It is kind of a mini mascot of the channel on my main account, if you've been following along there. And as you can see, mine's worse than yours, but it doesn't have a main skill chance down nature, so it gains a little bit more from those main skill seed investments. And I think that it's been one of my best investments so far, even though it took those main skill seeds. I use it so often as a generalist because it does provide very good general strength, despite not being a traditional charge strength Pokemon, because it just is that powerful. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm going to be making the comparisons level 50 and beyond, because that's really where Pancakes shines, is when it unlocks Berry Fighting S here at level 50. It's good before that point, don't get me wrong. In fact, I have another Raichu that has a very similar stat spread, helping bonus, helping speed M, with a speed up nature that I used and still use to this day. That doesn't have Berry Fighting S at level 50, so it's still good before that point. But at level 50 is when Pancakes really comes to shine, so that's where I'm making these comparisons. But yes, Pancakes, should you put in the main skill seeds? Well, just for comparison's sake, I threw in a Golduck as well, because Golduck is the more traditional generalist. And as you can see, at level 50, it is making less than the Golduck. About 48k versus 39k. Now, I'm making these comparisons with no area bonus, not accounting for favored berry, because obviously if you have electric favored berry, your Raichu is just going to be better. Like, hands down, there's no question about that. But if we compare, even just at this point, your Raichu at level 50 is producing 82% the strength that a Golduck with Skill Trigger M, Help Speed M, and Helping Bonus could create. Now that's a pretty solid Golduck. This Golduck is not a wimpy one by any means, and if we were to remove just the Help Speed M, which I think that this is a viable Golduck. It's not really amazing. Helping Bonus with Skill Trigger M is pretty solid still. It's still being outproduced by the Golduck at level 50, but not by as much. So now, if we were to compare it, say, at level 60, which is kind of just the one step up, you can see that the gap closes a bit more. It's now looking like it did, and that's because Berry Specialists, they gain more per level than Skill Specialists do. So realistically, at this point, the Golduck is still outproducing. It's still a very good Golduck. Don't get me wrong. But this Raichu is now producing just, let's see, I'm doing the math here real quick, 95% of what the Golduck can be producing. So it's a really decent option if you can get it up there in levels. For general strength, then it may be that you don't need to really hunt a generalist like Golduck. Now, you could hunt Ampharos, who is a little bit weaker than Golduck, and it also synergizes with your team building a bit more, and the theory that you're going along. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest hunting Golduck, because you kind of already have a decent generalist option in this Raichu. And additionally, if you want a generalist, you probably want an Ampharos instead. So maybe don't hunt Golduck. I know that really wasn't the question that you had, but I'm using Golduck for comparison because it is the best of the generalists. Now, theoretically, if you take it all the way to level 65, yours actually outproduces this Golduck, this theoretical Golduck. If you can get it all the way to level 65, you're talking probably like a year down the road, though, that this is even a thought. But Raichu's pretty easy to level as far as things Pokemon go in this game. I've personally have 3 of them, all above level 60, level 60 and above. So maybe it won't be that long before you... Honestly, for leveling this Raichu, you'll probably be mostly gated by your research rank, more so than the actual candy availability, because Pichu and Raichu, like, they spawn quite a bit. Candies are pretty available. People send them because it is a very good Pokemon, even if it is common. So you'll probably have enough candies to get this thing to level 65 pretty easily, and you'll probably be mostly gated by your research rank more so than anything else. But at level 65, it actually outproduces the Golduck for general strength, which is just insane to consider if you're to put in max main skill seeds. Without the main skill seeds, though, it is producing significantly less, even at level 65, when it is theoretically at its strongest. And level 50, it's even way weaker. You can see that it gains about 6,000 strength per day from those main skill seeds, and what rank it's at doesn't really change it that much, because the gains from level off the main skill are significantly less than the gains from berry off of level. So, is it worth the main skill seeds? Well, my thought line is, if you're running it all the time, you are gaining consistent value from those main skill seeds. I'd probably prioritize other things. Make sure you have your healer in line. If you do catch the good Raikou, make sure you have the main skill seeds available for that Raikou. If you're going to try and invest in Ampharos for a type-based team, make sure you have the Ampharos skill seeded first, because it's going to need those seeds for viability, whereas this Raichu is going to be viable without the main skill seeds. But it'll only enhance it. But if you're running it all the time, there is some added value in consistent, week-by-week added value every single time. But this Raichu can run pretty much all the time, and that's really where the value in main skill seeding it would be. Now, as for teams, team building, I wanted to also go into this because you did ask a little bit of a question about it. And for team building, I'm running the comparisons at level 60, aside from the Raikou, which I'm putting at level 50 because it is very difficult to level a legendary. But I'm making it so that it's just an O-right legendary, because this is probably reasonably the best you can expect. And even this isn't even promised. Just helping speed M and skill trigger M. With a decent team otherwise, kind of how you were looking at it, and comparing that to a power pair combo. Now, the power pair isn't necessarily the best way to go. It's the easiest way to play it as far as ingredients and meals go. And theoretically, you could roll a different meal type, or you could be rotating that team slot as well, which would actually provide that team slot with more value. But I wanted to just make the comparison here of the electric type team versus a power pair combo. And power pair combos don't really come online till level 60. Which is why I made the comparison at level 60. Now, if you do have electric favored berry, like if you're at Old Gold Power Plant, then this full electric, all-in electric mode team is going to actually do better than the power pair, even with a level 65 meal, when it has favored berry. The thing is, if I'm to compare it without favored berry, the electric team does significantly worse than the power pair team, even if I was to make this meal level lower. I had it earlier at level 50, and I believe it was doing better. So, it depends. Do you want to go all in on a general team, a team that's going to do better everywhere, or do you want to go all in on being really well set for Old Gold Power Plant? And if you happen to land the good Raikou, then maybe building this team is worth it just to really enhance your Old Gold Power Plant game. Old Gold Power Plant is the best island in the game for Dream Shard farming as of right now, where there's no Expert Mode bonuses. Taking into account, Expert Mode is better, it looks like. We actually don't know that fully, but it looks better at Greengrass Expert Mode. But Expert Mode's a lot more inconsistent, and maybe one day when we have Old Gold Power Plant Expert Mode, then this is going to be the team that's going to really potentially kick butt there. So we don't know what that looks like. I'm not saying invest for Expert Mode, and I'm not going to make comparisons really at level 75, because we don't know what level 75 is going to look like. I did throw a comparison in here for level 75, You can see that Raichu really outperforms the Golduck here, but we don't. Maybe by the time we have level 75, maybe we have Charge Strength level 8. So there's really no comparison to be made at level 75 because it's all kind of speculative. But as of right now, it looks like it's probably a decent option to try and go for the full electric team if you just want to do really well at Old Gold Power Plant. I can tell you there's a lot of value in that as a player myself that does really, really well at the Old Gold Power Plant. Doing really well there is potent. Maybe in the future, Amber Canyon's going to have more value just because it is higher ranked. But it's harder berries to do well with. It doesn't necessarily have a legend that synergizes very well like Raikou. And Raikou, I will say, of the legendary beasts, has the most viable teams that can be built around it because the existence of Pawmot. It is the only one that has a reliable healer, an energy for everyone healer that can synergize with it. So I think there's value in it, and I think that both routes are great ways to go. But ultimately, I think as of right now, being only 4 months in, your priorities are probably just get what's going to be generally good across all islands in order, and also don't invest too heavily right now into the Raikou team because you don't have the Raikou, and you don't know if you're going to get the Raikou during the event. We don't know what this event's going to look like. You might only catch one of the legendary beasts that you're targeting. You might only be able to catch a few because it's split across 3 different legends. So we don't know what that event's going to look like. We don't know if you're going to be able to catch a good Raikou, so I wouldn't invest too heavily in the Raikou-based team just yet. I'd say prioritize getting your needs in order, first and foremost. But if you catch the good Raikou, maybe it's worth investing and looking to catching that berry, finding S. Ampharos. Maybe it's worth hunting the Pawmot to synergize well. I will say Raikou and Pawmot make a really good power pair in and of themselves that I did not discuss in that video. And you have a phenomenal... I cannot understate how good Pancakes is. Pancakes is one of the best, if not the absolute best Raichu I've ever seen. Especially at level 100 when you can get even a little bit more speed on there. You can't ask for more. Literally, I guess you could ask for it to be ingredients down instead of skill down. You could ask for skill trigger M instead of inventory up L. But that's really, really, really minor stuff. This is you caught one of the best Pokemon in the game in your first 4 months. So, yeah. If you have enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you want to submit a Pokemon for review, then feel free to fill out the form in the description of the video, or submit it via the YouTube Rate My Mon channel in the Discord. I'm going to be doing, generally speaking, 2 of these per week, but I am enjoying it. I'm glad to reboot the series. If you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Down in the description, we'll have a link to join the Discord. You can always come hang out, talk about all things Pokemon, Sleep, and the like. A huge, huge shout out and thank you to all of my channel members. It really means a lot to me that you guys want to show your support financially, despite there being no paid rewards for members. If you too also want to become a channel member, then the join button is down below. And as always, I thank you all for watching and hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.